Thank you. It's a great pleasure to be with you again. Let me first wish a very happy Nowruz to each of you and your family and friends. I hope this new year finds you safe and well. Thank you for allowing me a few minutes to share with you my views on the situation in Iran, in the region, and in the United States with the new Biden administration. As I look at the situation inside Iran, I see a government that has lost all legitimacy in the eyes of its own people. I see a government that is grossly incompetent in running Iran. We've known for years that the mullahs and the IRGC are more interested in maintaining their grip on power than in serving the people. They have mishandled the outbreak of the COVID virus, resulting in the deaths of more than 225,000 Iranians, mothers and fathers, sons and daughters, aunts and uncles, all across the country. These victims are the result of the government's inability to meet the fundamental responsibility of every government, which is to protect and safeguard the health of its citizens. Tehran has failed this basic test. We've also seen the government's incompetence in managing the economy, rising food prices, spiraling gas prices, inflation, the lack of jobs. All of these are indications of a regime that does not understand how to run a modern economy. The mullahs and the IRGC understand violence. They understand how to maintain themselves in power. They understand how to rob and steal. They understand that they cannot allow free speech or fair and free elections, but they are completely incompetent to do anything else. One reason for this incompetence is that the regime spends far more time and far more money intervening in other countries, such as Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Gaza, and Lebanon. Instead of listening to the voices of the Iranian people, the mullahs and the IRGC are far more interested in destabilizing the neighborhood. Instead of serving the Iranian people, the highest priority of the mullahs and the IRGC is bringing death and destruction to other parts of the world. We saw this recently with the unprecedented terrorism trial in Brussels, where a so-called Iranian diplomat and his accomplices were convicted in engaging in a terrorist act against the annual meeting of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. And let's not forget the series of threats that Iran issued before the trial, that there would be dire consequences, more terrorist acts in Europe if the defendants were actually convicted. The true nature of the regime in Tehran was revealed once again, and this time for all of Europe to see. Everyone needs to understand that this was not a rogue operation. This was not some unauthorized mission. It was characteristic of the violent and unlawful nature of the mullahs and the IRGC. And we've seen this type of reckless behavior before, with the tragic shooting down of the Ukrainian civilian airliner in January 2020. On this occasion, the mullahs and the IRGC were guilty of criminal incompetence, on display this time for the whole world to see. This continuing misrule by the mullahs and IRGC has had important consequences. First, the Iranian people have shown that the regime in Tehran has no popular support, no credibility. The Iranian people have shown that they do not believe that the mullahs and IRGC can ever change, adapt, or moderate their behavior. The Iranian people have concluded that popular opposition is the only way to complain about the regime and express their views for a better future. Inside Iran, we have seen brave and courageous people repeatedly demonstrate against the regime in cities, towns, and villages all across the country. They are calling for a life with dignity, where their human rights are respected, where they do not have to fear a knock on the door in the middle of the night, or routine corruption, or arbitrary justice. They simply want a country where they can vote for representatives who will listen and be responsive to their wishes for a better future for themselves and their children. Second, there is a new president now in Washington, D.C. Many of the officials who are serving in the Biden administration had served previously in the Obama administration, including those who negotiated the joint nuclear deal with Iran in 2015. Perhaps the mullahs and the IRGC hope that the United States will once more engage as before and sign new agreements that will enrich them and solidify their hold on power. If that is their hope, I think they are gravely mistaken. President Biden and his senior officials have all recognized the shortcomings of the 2015 nuclear agreement. They've admitted that the agreement did not address the ballistic missiles that Iran continues to develop. They've admitted that the agreement did not halt Iran's ongoing interference in the region. They've admitted that the agreement did nothing to halt the massive human rights violations that the mullahs and IRGC inflict every day on the Iranian people. In fact, support for human rights is quickly becoming a major theme of the Biden administration's overall approach to foreign policy. This is not good news for the mullahs and the IRGC. And although there is a good deal of partisan politics in Washington these days, the mullahs and IRGC also need to know that on this issue, on the threat that Iran poses to its own people, to the region, and to the United States, on this issue, there is broad bipartisan agreement between Republicans and Democrats. Congress may not be united on many issues, but it is united in its opposition to the regime in Tehran. This, too, is not good news for the mullahs and the IRGC. On this celebration of a new year, I am hopeful that the brave and long-suffering people of Iran will soon be able to enjoy the full blessings of freedom and peace. I wish you all a very happy and healthy new year. Thank you very much.